Over the years, I've sat in rooms with people who hold power quietly and people who lose it without realizing when it happened. In my line of work, the most consistent thing I see isn't aggression or intimidation. It's something far more subtle. It's the distinct feeling of leaving a conversation smaller than when you entered it. Why some people make you feel smaller. Hi, I'm Rowena Chase. I work as a corporate investigator. People often assume that feeling small comes from insecurity, sensitivity, or a lack of confidence. In my investigations, that explanation rarely holds up. I see this reaction in people who are competent, experienced, and grounded, but only around certain individuals. When a reaction repeats across different rooms, different contexts, and different stages of life, it stops being personal. It becomes a pattern. People who gently correct you, people who make you feel smaller almost never raise their voice, and they don't openly challenge your intelligence. Instead, they practice a form of low-intensity dominance through light interruptions and gentle corrections. Nothing lands hard enough to protest, but everything lands just enough to force you to adjust your behavior. They'll say things like, "I think what you meant to say is," or "just to be precise here." Over time, you notice you're speaking less freely. You begin clarifying things that didn't need clarification and preemptively explaining yourself even when you didn't before. That's how subtle power works. It doesn't announce itself, it trains the room to adapt. The most effective power moves feel reasonable rather than aggressive. People who rephrase what you just said. In these conversations, you're usually allowed to speak, but only within a frame that isn't yours. You'll make a point, and it will be rephrased back to you slightly off. Or it will be summarized in a way that narrows it, or repositioned as an aside rather than a contribution. They use phrases like, "So basically, what you're saying is," or "let me reframe that." What matters isn't the response itself, it's who decides what the conversation is actually about. In investigations, I pay close attention to framing, because whoever controls the frame doesn't need to dominate the conversation. They've already decided which parts count. Control isn't about talking more, it's about deciding what counts. You start choosing your words carefully. One of the clearest signals of this dynamic appears in your own body. The person diminishing you remains relaxed, their tone steady, and their posture unchanged. You, on the other hand, start monitoring yourself. You soften your statements and choose your words with extreme care. You might find yourself saying, "That's a strong way to put it," or maybe soften that a bit. You feel the need to stay agreeable even when nothing hostile has been said. This imbalance is critical. When one person stays at ease while the other becomes careful, something uneven is happening, whether or not anyone names it. Many women recognize this immediately because they've learned to read rooms for safety long before they learn to read them for power. When one person relaxes while the other self-monitors, power is already uneven. People who question the timing, not the point. People who make others feel smaller rarely question them directly. Instead, they question the timing, the relevance, or the tone. A point is acknowledged but immediately set aside, or a contribution is labeled interesting without ever being engaged. The phrases are common, "Let's park that for now," or "That's probably a separate conversation." Over time, the effect is cumulative. You're not dismissed outright, you're slowly repositioned to the edge of the conversation. This kind of diminishment is difficult to argue against because nothing obvious has occurred, but the outcome is clear. Diminishing context is safer than direct confrontation and more effective. You leave the conversation tired. After these interactions, people often describe feeling tired, not necessarily emotional or upset, just drained. That fatigue isn't coming from conflict, it's coming from cognitive load. It comes from the constant work of adjusting, translating, and anticipating reactions. You'll hear them ask, "Can you walk me through that again?" Or, "Let's unpack this a bit more." In every investigation I've worked on, unnecessary complexity and unnecessary effort leave a trace. When you consistently leave interactions feeling heavier than when you arrived, that's information. Feeling small isn't about being overpowered, it's about carrying more mental load than your share. And deep down, I know this. Feeling smaller isn't a flaw, it's a signal. You realize that you don't need to fix your confidence. You need to stop participating in a frame that wasn't built for you. You need to stop carrying the cognitive load for someone else's comfort. And most importantly, you need to realize that the person gentling you into submission is only doing so because your original, unsoftened voice was a threat they couldn't otherwise handle.